I'm sure we've all seen and felt the big push for EVs at the moment, be that with government legislation or just the sheer number of electric vehicles that are currently on offer across the board. Now, to find out a little bit more about what it is to live with an EV and to find out what an electric vehicle is like day to day, I'm going to be living with this Skoda Enyaq for 6 months. So I'm going to be checking out what it's like to charge, how it copes as just a normal, usual car, and if there are still any shortcomings in the whole EV experience. So I'm going to take you through a sort of video diary to see what it's like to live with a Skoda Enyaq and live with an EV in general. Remember, if you do want a full in-depth view of the Skoda Enyaq, then we do have one currently on the channel.
Now, this particular Enyaq is one of the top spec versions that you can get from the range. It's an 80X Sportline. Now, what does that actually mean? Well, it refers to the 82 kilowatt hour battery that you get underneath, and actually the net of that is 77 kilowatt hours. And the X refers to the fact that this car is all-wheel drive, so it's got a motor at the front and a motor at the rear too. Now, Skoda claims that you should be able to get over 300 miles from a single charge, and you should be able to do 99 miles an hour flat out too. So tonight I've got to do something that I do pretty much once a week, which is actually come and charge the Enyaq. Now, I don't have a charger at home, so for the time being I have to go down to a 7 kilowatt charger, which is kind of like a slow overnight charger that's in my village. Quite fortunate to have this option, as a lot of people who don't have home charging won't. So I'll come down here and I'll plug the car in and it'll be fully charged overnight. Now, I don't tend to come and do this in the daytime because I don't want to hog the charger for people who might be visiting during the day, but overnight I feel like it's pretty fair enough, and then I come and pick it up first thing in the morning. But I'll just show you one thing that I have to do beforehand. So what I have to make sure I do is, usually most manufacturers would recommend that you charge the vehicle up to 80% because that helps preserve the battery life. But because I've got a long trip coming up, I want to charge up to 100%. That gives me the most amount of range possible when I come back to it tomorrow, so that I've got enough in the tank to actually get where I need to go on the next day. And also what I like to do as well is, here, as you can see, there's stationary air conditioning, and this basically pre-warms the car, so it's nice inside. You can see here I've also got the seat heater and the steering wheel heater activated. And what I can do is tomorrow, so it's going to be Thursday tomorrow, and I'm going to come and pick the car up at 8 o'clock, and you can set it there and you go back, tick the box, and that means that tomorrow it's going to be nice and warm when I get into the car. So I really like that. It's a great feature. You can do it from your phone as well via an app, but I found the app to be a little bit temperamental. But this I find to be a foolproof way. It's always going to work. Skoda claims that the 80X should deliver up to 322 miles from its 77 kilowatt hour battery. Now, what I've found during the darkest depth of winter is that you get around 270, 265 miles, and that's in sub-zero temperatures, really, really cold. And since it started warming up, I have seen it creep skywards too. Now, around the Skoda are some really clever features, and they're those simply clever features that we've become used to with Skodas. And in fact, they're dotted around the cabin all over the place. Of course, in the Skoda you also get loads of really good, simply clever features that they've always been well known for. So down here in the corner, wow, and you've got an umbrella. And I find that actually really useful, particularly as the weather has been lately. And then around the back, you open up the door and you look up here, you'll see that there's a little ice scraper. Just means that it's got loads of these little things here already. It's very bright. Got loads of these little things here already without having to think about them, and that's what Skoda does really well, I think. Something that I have got with this Enyaq is the dog accessories package, which means that you also get this rubber mat. Now, I would just have a rubber mat in the back of the car anyway, because it means that, for instance, if you spill water in here, as I've just done, it just runs off. You can just pick it out, shake it off, and you keep the carpets all nice and good. And also, in the Enyaq, the storage is superb. So I've got these nice big areas at the side. You can fit loads of stuff in. And you've got some good little hooks at the side too for when you're bringing your shopping home. It's like Skoda's really thought about loads of the practicality functions. There's a little socket there for charging too.
if you want to use up some battery.
There's absolutely loads of technology dotted around the Enyaq, and loads of it makes life just a little bit more pleasant, really. This car in particular has got a heated steering wheel, which I really loved, and really good heated seats too. Plus, the rear seats in this Enyaq are heated as well, so, I mean, in my case, the dog gets a very luxurious trip around. All in all, I find that the robust materials mean that this car feels very easy to live with, and actually vacuuming it out and just generally keeping it clean are both nice and easy to do. Something I've really enjoyed while I've been with the Enyaq is the Apple CarPlay and how easily it works, because once your phone is connected, you really don't have to worry about reconnecting or plugging in. It's all wireless, so every time I jump in the car, it's there, and you can see here. There you go, it works really, really well. It's one of the best systems I've seen, and actually there were quite a few complaints about Skoda's screen to begin with, this latest generation one in cars like the ID3 and of course in the Enyaq, but I've so far not had any trouble with it. It's been a bit buggy at times, which I would class as a problem obviously, but for the most part it's worked really quickly. You just need to give it a bit of time to wake up, which I think is a bit of a pain. It's like an old computer, but apart from that, the system itself works really nicely. I was really impressed by the Skoda Enyaq's boot actually. It's got 585 litres there, and it's really nice and square, and you can lower the rear seats down and that lifts it to 1,710 litres. And that means it's got, well, near enough the same as a Skoda Octavia Estate, so it's rivaling something from within the Skoda group anyway. Something that I think is really good about the Enyaq is the amount of space that it has on offer in general, really. So if you're planning on using it as a family car, I think it fits the bill. Now, I haven't got kids, but I do have the dog, obviously, and she has plenty of space back here. But actually, I thought I'd give it a go and see how much space I've got. So as you can see, I've got plenty of leg room and knee room here, and the headroom's excellent too. So even if you've got taller kids or you're keeping adults back here, they're going to have loads of space. Driving an electric car has been a whole new thing for me, and I hadn't expected to enjoy it quite as much as I did. Of course, I learnt that there are plenty of restrictions, and certainly doing long trips requires plenty of planning and foresight. But around town and local driving, I don't understand why you wouldn't have an electric car, because you just keep it topped up and you get really used to the range. And it's a far more relaxing and pleasurable experience overall. The Enyaq, I still feel, is one of the strongest electric cars in the segment, because it brings great practicality and a decent amount of range as well, a variety of different specifications and loads of equipment inside. Now, if you'd want to find out more about the Enyaq, then you can check out our full review, and if you'd like to see it put up against some other vehicles that it rivals, then you can check out our group test too. And since you're here, please remember to subscribe to the Motors.co.uk YouTube channel and give us a like.